Radio, a medium that has been pruned, honed, trimmed, winnowed, chiseled, bonsai'd, and deposited here today, ready to be moistened with the watering can of evolutionary dew. This is the Dennis Miller Show.
We're going to talk some hardball politics now with our next guest, who is a political pollster / holy man. I'm kidding you, Radhanath. This is author of The Journey Home, Radhanath Swami. Welcome to the show.
I'm very grateful, Dennis, for this opportunity to be with you and all of your listeners. Thank you.
Wait a second, you're killing me with that voice. In your religion, are you allowed to date women, or are you not?
In our religion, there is, but I'm a Swami, so I do not do that.
Baby, you could close with that voice. That is deadly. Beautiful voice.
You're the first person to ever say that about me.
I'm sorry.
I'm honored. Thank you.
Hang in there for a second. I'm coming out right now. I kid, Radhanath. All right, tell me about The Journey Home. In 1950, you're born Richard Slavin, is it? Into a middle-class Jewish family in Chicago. How do you get from there to here, brother?
Well, as you know, in the 1960s, it was a very turbulent time when I was a teenager. Many questions. Civil rights was there, the Vietnam War. And I was trying to find meaning and fulfillment in life. And I remember hearing something that if one doesn't have an ideal that one's willing to die for, one really doesn't have anything very meaningful to live for. So I was trying to find that ideal, and I went on a summer vacation with a lifelong friend of mine, Gary, trying to see how other people in other parts of the world see society, see America, see truth, see religion, and that brought me deeper and deeper into a spiritual search. And eventually, in an island of Greece, I had a calling to go to India. So I hitchhiked from London to Greece, and then Greece through Turkey, Afghanistan, Pakistan to India.
Wow.
And I studied Christianity and Judaism. In the Middle East, I studied Islam. And then in India, I went to Himalayas and studied Buddhism and different branches of Hinduism, and ultimately came to the path of Bhakti Yoga, where there's the acceptance of one supreme God who's all attractive, all beautiful, and the path of devotion to the Lord is the path that I follow.
I'll tell you what, your rhythms are intoxicating, man. What happened in Greece that summoned you to this? You had an epiphany, or or is that too secret to share with us? When you say you were called, just a moment of illumination?
It's in the book, so it's not a secret anymore. It used to be.
The book is The Journey Home, and the author is Radhanath Swami. I'm fascinated by this because I find your rhythm so peaceful that after talking to you for like 4 minutes here, I'm thinking, yeah, this guy got something.
Thank you. Well, I was living in a cave in Crete.
Me too, but I didn't find this.
And I was going to a mountaintop every day, and I was praying and meditating from sunrise to sunset. And my friend Gary, who, by the way, now lives in Malibu Beach, he was going to the ocean side to meditate and pray. And one day the intensity of my longing was so great, I was literally weeping and praying for direction. And right at the time of sunset, I heard a voice, and the voice said 3 words. It was a voice from within. And those 3 words changed my life. Go to India. I had never met an Indian person. I had no money. I didn't even have a map. But I was determined to go. So I went back to the cave, and Gary was sitting there in meditation, in prayer. And he said to me, something incredible happened to me today. I said, what? He said, I heard a voice. I said, well, what did he say? Gary said, I don't think you're going to believe me. I said, I really might. What did he say? He said, I heard a voice that told me, go to Israel. I said, what? Where? He said, I told you you wouldn't believe me. I said, no, I believe you. Where? I didn't hear you properly. He said, Israel. I said, well, he told me to go to India. There was complete silence for a few minutes. And then I broke the silence and said, Gary, tomorrow morning at sunrise, I'm leaving for India. I can't wait. I'll hitchhike in the eastern direction, and I believe someday I'll make it there.
What a profound moment. Jesus, that's unbelievable. And then Gary he goes back to bed, wakes up a couple hours later and says, I'm going to Malibu. Or did he end up going to Israel?
Well, he went to Israel, and then it's a long story, but about a year later, in an abandoned rice paddy, it was raining. I needed an umbrella to walk under, and I was walking under what appeared to be a little old man that was walking. We walked together about 20 minutes, and then the rain stopped, and I said, thank you, and the person turned around, and it was Gary.
Unbelievable.
So we met in India a year later. He did go to Israel, and he traveled the world for about 7 years after that, to all the major continents, and then eventually went to Malibu, where he's a physical trainer at the Malibu gym, and I'm a Swami living in Bombay, India.
You are a switched-on duo, man. This is a movie in itself. It's like the Hardy Boys. Get it?
And one day, Gary said to me just recently, "How is it that we can still be friends? Because I'm telling people that if they have a strong, healthy body, they'll be happy.
Yes.
And you're telling people that they're not the body. The body's a temporary vehicle, and we're the soul, the living force within the body, a part of God." And I said to Gary, you can teach people how to take care nicely of this body, which we believe is a temple of God, and I'll try to tell them what to do inside, and we could be a team. And we've been a team ever since.
Very sweet. Well, we're talking to Radhanath Swami. The book is The Journey Home. It traces well, you can hear in that voice, this man has tapped into something primal. In 1950, he was born Richard Slavin in Chicago, Jewish family, and now he's Radhanath Swami. Let me ask you this. You sound so enlightened. Is there a way for you still to be laid low by the vagaries of life? Or, indeed, can you be saddened by a movie? Or I'm intrigued at your level of consciousness. What is your day-to-day like? Is it just prayer and contemplation, or?
There is a lot of prayer and contemplation, but then we dedicate a lot of our day to what we call seva,
yes,
or devotional service, to try to help other living beings, both the body, the mind, and the soul. And we don't believe that we should extinguish our emotions, but we should develop our emotions in a very real and human way, in a way that is in reference to actually helping people, to be when we connect to God's love within our heart, which is dormant within all of us. And we do that by chanting God's names, especially. It's a non-sectarian movement that believes that God has many names, and in each of these names is a divine power that we can connect to. Like the frequency of this radio station, when you tune into a particular frequency, people can hear Dennis Miller, and they're even hearing me today.
Yes.
And if you tune into another frequency, you get something else. So spiritual life, whether we call it religion or yoga, it's about tuning in to our divine nature, which is within us and which is all around us. And in that divine nature is love for God. And as that love awakens, we become instruments of that love in a form of compassion to others.
God.
And we believe that this is the real essence of all the great spiritual paths. The differences are external, based on whether it be dogma or historical context or particular forms of ritual. But the purpose of all of these great spiritual paths is to reach the essence, which is to connecting to God and the love of God that is within our heart, and to be an instrument of that love, whether we're in business or whether we're engineers or radio announcers or even swamis. We all, perform our natural duties in such a way that we live with good character, and we have this spiritual practice by which we can express the beauty of our souls in what we do in our life.
Well, I'll tell you what, Richard Slavin, you've come a long way, because you sound like such a selfless individual to me. I always admire people who aspire to selflessness. And it sounds like you found your happiness, right? You must be a joyous man.
I've found great happiness in chanting God's names and in trying to serve others and being an instrument of compassion. And whatever way I can serve and help others in a non-judgmental way, I consider that my greatest fortune.
Well, it's my good fortune to talk to you. You've calmed me out here. And God bless you, Richard. I'm happy for you. Radhanath Swami, I'm happy for you.
Thank you. And The Journey Home is a book about my travels when I was a young man in search of truth, and how I met many great spiritual teachers in many different paths. And it's available at most bookstores and Amazon also.
That's the most beautiful thing I've ever heard. Always be closing, baby. Swami, how I love you. All right, Radhanath. Have a good one, baby. You are a cool dude.
I'm really honored to be loved by you, Dennis. And my sincere love for you and all of your wonderful listeners.
All right, baby. Good to talk to you. Oh, that is the greatest product placement ever. Back after this on the Dennis Miller Show.